I can't think of any better music, by the way, that Senator Lee could have walked into and walked out of than that track right there, right? Good job, CPAC, for picking that song. That was wonderful. I want to give a shout out very quickly to my radio station, FM News Talk 97.1, one of the media partners here at CPAC St. Louis. And I would also like to remind you all, 2014, make sure you pick up a copy of my book, Defenseless. It's all about battling gun control and defending the Second Amendment. It'll be out next year, so thank you all. Our next guest has really thrown a wrench into some of the plans that our elected officials have had in terms of increasing spending and increasing your taxes. Grover Norquist is president of Americans for Tax Reform. Now, he founded this group in 1985 at the request of President Reagan, and he has been going strong ever since, holding folks their feet to the fire, keeping them honest about taxes, working to keep your taxes low. I can't wait to hear if he has anything to say about what happened in this great state of Missouri with our Republican majority and the first tax cut that we could have had in what, how many years? Okay, I'm being mean. Anyway, without further ado, please help me welcome Grover Norquist.
We're here to win. Our goal is to move liberty forward, and in the United States, there are two teams. There used to be two parties. One was the party of the North, one was the party of the South, and it didn't tell you very much if somebody said they were Republican. It just meant they were born north of the Mason-Dixon line. And there were little old ladies in Mississippi who agreed with Ronald Reagan on absolutely everything and voted for George McGovern because General Sherman had been mean to Atlanta recently. During Ronald Reagan's political career, that changed, and the two parties and the two teams sorted themselves out in a way that makes a lot more sense. Our team, we want one thing, and think about this when you are active in politics and the people that work with you. We want one thing from the government. We wish to be left alone. Go around our table, who's there? Taxpayers. Don't raise my taxes. They don't want to raise other people's taxes. Keep taxes low for everybody. Property owners, leave my property rights alone. The Second Amendment community. I serve on the board of directors of the National Rifle Association. What do we want? Leave our Second Amendment rights alone. We do not go around and insist that every fourth grade public school in America teach children books entitled Heather Has Two Hunters. We simply wish to have our Second Amendment rights left alone. The homeschooling movement, parents that want the right to maintain how they educate their children. All the various communities of faith, they keep expecting us to fight, but all of the groups want one thing. If the most important thing in your life is practicing your faith and passing it on to your children and sharing it, you wish for religious liberty. The evangelical Protestants, conservative Catholics, Orthodox Jews, Muslims, Mormons don't agree how you get to heaven, but can agree that the government has no part in that debate. Now, at our coalition, everybody sitting around our table can vote for the same candidate because they're not in conflict on any vote-moving issues. The fellow who wants to make money all day may look across the table at the guy who wants to go to church all day and say, it's not how I spend my time. And they both may look over at the fellow who wants to fondle his guns all day and say, that's not how we spend our free time. It's not necessary that we agree what we do with our liberty, simply that we agree we should all be free. Then we can go fight the left all week. We have a meeting in Washington, D.C. once every Wednesday. 150, 180 people get together and 30 people present on what they're doing to move freedom forward. And when Hillary Clinton was running for the Senate in 2000, she was up doing her listening tour and she said, what the progressives these days need is one of those meetings like Grover runs. And I got a call from the New York Press saying, what do you think of Hillary's idea of a left-of-center Wednesday meeting? And I explained how our coalition worked together, and I said, how would her coalition work? Who would sit at the left's table, the table where everybody's there because they're with the Takings Coalition. We're the Leave Us Alone Coalition. They're the Takings Coalition. They view the proper role of government as taking things from some people and giving them to others, frequently money and usually them. Around the left's table, trial lawyers, labor union bosses, big city political machines. We've got the two wings of the dependency movement, people who are locked into welfare pendency, people who make $90,000 a year managing the dependency of other people, making sure none of them get jobs and become Republicans. Then we have all our coercive utopians, the people who want to make you better and have plans on how to instruct you on your moral uplift. These are the people who designed and mandated cars too small to put your entire family into, the toilets that don't flush completely, the light bulbs that convince you you have glaucoma. On the Sabbath, you have to separate the green glass from the brown glass from the white glass for the recycling priests. And they have a list of things you have to do and a list of things you're not allowed to do that is slightly longer and more repetitious than Leviticus. It goes on. And this isn't a suggested list. This is the things you have to do. So around the left's table, everybody there wants the government to do something, and they can get along as long as we are stupid enough to keep throwing money into the center of that table. Then they can be pals. The way, in the movie after the bank robbery, they sit around the table, one for you, one for you, one. Everybody's big smiles. But if we do our job right, if we say no new taxes and mean it, and stop the overspending and stop throwing money in the center of their table, then as that pile of cash dwindles, our friends on the left begin to look at each other a little bit more like the second to the last scene in those lifeboat movies. Now they're wondering who they're going to eat or who they're going to throw overboard. Our friends on the left are not friends and allies. They are competing parasites. If we do not allow them to gnaw on taxpayers, they will cheerfully gnaw on the person sitting next to them. Our job is to stop sending them cash so that they have to do that, so that when we meet them in the next election in 2 and 4 years, there are fewer of them and they're shorter. Step 1, don't raise taxes. Is every Republican in the Missouri legislature listening? Reduce taxes, never raise them. The Taxpayer Protection Pledge that we share with all candidates, including Missouri state legislators of both parties, is a simple pledge, not to me, as Harry Reid and President Obama seem to think sometimes, but a pledge to the people of their state, whether they're a congressman or senator, or presidential candidate, or state legislator or governor. Promise, I will not raise your taxes. I will vote against every effort to raise your taxes. And has, since we put it together in 1986, working with President Reagan, branded the modern Republican Party as the party that will not raise your taxes. They may do other odd things. They may invade countries they cannot pronounce, but they will not raise your taxes. And it's been a tremendous step forward. It's not everything. There's a second part to this. Second part is stop spending so much money. But you never get to reforming government to cost less if tax increases are on the table. Because if tax increases are an option of any size, they always push the spending cuts off the table. It's like putting piranha inside your goldfish. You come back, there are no goldfish. You cannot put tax increases and spending cuts on the same table. The spending cuts disappear. So step 1, no tax increases. And the branding of the modern Republican Party has been central to make that happen. Now, branding's important. Coca-Cola will tell you this. Coca-Cola spends a lot of time and money branding Coca-Cola. You know what it looks like. You know what it is. They have quality control. You buy a bottle of Coke. You know what's there. You take it home. You don't have to read the ingredients or ask your friends what's in it or ask the proprietor. Can I have a taste and see what you know what's in there. But if you get home because you trusted Coke, and you drink 2/3 of your Coke bottle and you look down at the remaining third and there is a rat head in your Coke bottle, You do not say to yourself, you know, I'm thinking I may not finish all the rest of this one tonight. You wonder whether you buy Coke in the future. You call your friends. You share on social media with everybody your picture of the cool rat head. Coca-Cola has a big problem. Republican elected officials who vote for tax increases are rat heads in a Coke bottle. They damage the brand for everyone else. So it's important that everyone holds and don't raise taxes. Now, I want to talk about two thoughts as we move forward, because we just got to keep moving forward. Don't raise taxes, spend less. Don't raise taxes, spend less. And we do it every day, and we don't stop. And if we're trying to, because the Democrats will keep coming back, our friends on the left will keep coming back and try and get us to agree to a teeny tax increase here or there. Democrats on this tax thing are a little bit like teenage boys on a prom date. They keep asking for the same thing in different ways. And our job is to say no, no, no. Okay? It ruins the whole project here if you say no, no, yes. Okay? So you just got to keep with the no's, and the answer is no. We're not raising taxes. It won't happen. And when they ask us to compromise, I was attacked by the president and the Democrats and some of our friends in the establishment press for getting in the way of a compromise. They often use the word compromise when what they mean is lose, okay? They want us to compromise when they want us to lose. Now, I'm in favor of compromising on the road to liberty. If I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm trying to get to California, and I find myself in Missouri, or that place nearby, Missouri, either one, that's okay. That's not treason. Missouri is on the way to California. But if I'm trying to get to California, and I'm starting in D.C., and my feet are wet, and everybody around me speaking French, I'm losing. I'm going in the wrong direction. So let us never be afraid to compromise. Let's move as fast as we can, as fast as their Senate, their president, the roadblocks we have get in our way. Let's keep moving in the direction of freedom, but never let them tell us to compromise when they mean, please lose. Second, we need to have bifocal vision. Whatever age you are, you need to have bifocals. And what that means is we should always be looking at where we're going. What's the goal? Where are we trying to get to? And then from time to time, we look at our feet and make sure we don't trip. We look down and make sure we're putting our feet down on solid ground as we move forward. Because you can get a lot of trouble. If you just are looking forward, you can walk over a cliff or break your knees, okay? But if you're only looking down at your feet and you forget to constantly remind yourself of where you're trying to get to, you can be 10 degrees off or 20 degrees off, wandering in the wrong direction. We have to communicate to ourselves and to our fellow activists, that's where we're going. Our job is to get rid of Obamacare. How are we going to do it? Well, today we do this, tomorrow we do that. Keep moving forward. Don't lose sight of the goal. Don't trip on the way. And lastly, I'm looking at the people that make this possible. I'm all in favor of politicians, but I think it's a mistake when sometimes we say, you know what we need? We need to elect more politicians with backbones. Okay, politicians are people. People have endoskeletons, meaning the backbone is inside. You can't see it, okay? You just don't know how strong it is when you send them there. And it's not fair to ask somebody to go down 500 feet underwater without one of those suits on, because animals with skeletons get crushed by the pressure. You send anyone to Washington or to the state capitol without outside support, and the pressure is very devastating. We're the exoskeleton. Like clams, right? They don't have backbones, but they got exoskeletons that allow them to survive great pressure. Lobsters, scallops, all the guys with shellfish, okay? We need to provide the outside defense against the pressure of the taxers and the spenders. If they have a backbone they brought with them, that's nice. But let's not always count on that. Let's be there for them, making sure we're providing the counter pressure against the guys who want them to tax and spend and tax and spend. We hold to this. We don't raise taxes. We reform government so it costs less. We keep moving forward, be willing to compromise, but not to surrender and lose. And we're going to win. It's going to take longer than it ought to, but it's going to be a fun fight. And working with all of you, let's move forward to win a greater victory for our kids, for our country, for liberty. Thank you.